Alrighty. So we had this Revenant thing come out today. I kind of forgot it existed, but I'm gonna react to it. It's probably not that long because it takes 14 minutes to start it, and I'm kind of sorry, but I couldn't wait 14 minutes. I just waited for the end of it. I'm not reacting to it live because, well, obviously you can see that it's not live. It doesn't say live right here. But I'm just gonna let it play. And let's see what they have in store. Probably not much, but we'll see. I kind of see the Grim up at the top, and well, there's obviously the 3 Guardians fighting off Scorn. So it's starting. I assume we're going to hear mentions from Ido and Mithrax, and maybe some from Ikar and Zavala in them, but who knows. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Mithrax and Elixni focus for this season. For the most part, probably.
Alrighty. Everyone, hello, welcome, good day, good evening, good time zone to you all, and welcome back. We're coming to you live here from beautiful Bungie HQ in Bellevue, Washington. My name is Andy, and I work on the social media team here at Bungie, and today we're thrilled to get to welcome all of you into a very special stream, talking a little bit about what's to come with Act 1 of episode Revenant, launching just next week on October 8th, and also we're going to go ahead and take a little bit more of a look further down the road and talk a little bit more about Codename Frontiers. But worry not, just like always, you don't have to listen to just me tell you all about it. We have some amazing folks from the Bungie development team here to go ahead and talk through it as well. And I say there's no time like the present. Let's introduce our cast of characters so we can go ahead and dive on in. Starting with someone that you may know if you've tuned into our Into the Light streams in the past, the one and only Jerome Viernich, senior narrative designer here at Bungie. Jerome, how's it going?
Give me a second.
Again, for the folks that may not have seen you on the show before or had a chance to go ahead and check out the Into the Light streams, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie?
Sure. I'm a writer on our fantastic writing team, so that means dialogue, tending to the garden that is our lore, and doing UI UX strings.
The fun stuff. So you're the blank space filler.
That's right. That's right. Press X. That's me.
Okay, I hold that personally, but we can
I like
that's not my department.
That's all right. You know,
I like
we're crossplay friendly.
I really like that.
And then also sitting just next to him, someone who is joining us now in front of the camera, previously a member of our behind-the-scenes fire team who does so much of our heavy lifting, the one and only Clayton Kisco, staff designer here at Bungie. Clayton, welcome.
Staff designer.
Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you. And hey, second verse, same as the first. Can you tell the folks at home a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie?
Yeah, so I'm a staff designer here, and I work primarily within the activities department. So I am in charge of building the skeleton and framework of the activity, developing the encounters and the boss fights as well, and building that amazing roller coaster that you tend to go on as a
We've
player.
been writing it for a while. Thank you very much for all your hard work. Given that today's Tuesday and reset day, I have plenty to dive into, thanks to you and yours. So thank you a ton, Clayton.
Yeah.
And sitting just next to him, someone that needs no introduction, but will still risk it anyway, just to make sure everyone's all caught up. The one and only the sandbox craft lead here at Bungie, the one and only Mr. Chris Proctor. Chris, how's it going?
Good, thanks, Andy.
So anyone who may not have seen you on the Into the Light streams in the past or heard you in podcasts around the community, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do here?
So I'm Chris Proctor, Sandbox Craft Lead on Destiny 2 here at Bungie. I work with the rest of the Sandbox team and Destiny leadership, other teams, to make sure that we're always hitting that gameplay quality bar that Bungie is renowned for.
Yes, we are aware of that.
Yep, it's not an easy job, but we thank you all for doing it. And also, I want to note, chat's calling you out immediately. You're getting a lot of love already. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Now, we're going to go ahead and dive into episode Revenant, which again is launching just next week on October 8th. But before we go ahead and dive into
I'm
that,
aware. I know I have to go back into it.
Now, in the last week of completing episode Echoes, can you tell us a little bit about the story that got us to where we are now?
No.
Sure, absolutely. Well, let's start with the death of the witness.
Okay.
Who
No, we don't need that.
And his giant, smoky, billowing head dissipated into a mist of darkness, which then coalesced with the traveler's light.
Yeah.
Right? Crystallizing into the echoes.
Yeah.
which fell into the Sol system. One of those fell, of course, to Maya Sundaresh, which we know from episode 1.
Yeah.
And it fundamentally changed how the Vex saw themselves. And now we're going to get the same treatment with the Scorn, because one of the echoes will be falling to Fikrul, leader of the undead Elixni army.
Yeah.
And similarly, that echo is going to prompt the Scorn to evolve, to see themselves in a new way, and to fundamentally change what they are. And I won't spoil anything. I'll let players discover that for themselves. But
that's very interesting.
Fikrul is evolving his army, he's growing his army, and in order to build Scorn armies, you need a bunch of corpses.
Interesting.
Which is not necessarily in the best interest of the Elixni. So we
wait a second.
With Mithrax.
Speaking of Fikrul, we see him right here as well. Now we're taking a look at the new art for episode.
Fikrul, but I meant not Fikrul, but
absolutely.
This Mithrax
is metal, and I think that shows it right there. That accurately depicts the tone of the season.
Yeah, it's not messing around. I will say we won't watch the trailer today, but when folks see the trailer, you're right. Metal.
No.
So much awesome.
Yeah.
Cringe.
The Elixni, of course, one
How could you do
so we'll be teaming up with Mithrax, the Kel of House Light, and his daughter, Ido, the adorable
I knew
Ido.
I called it. Called it.
And she will be bringing her expertise in herbology and ancient Elixni lore to help us craft tonics to imbue us with the power that we need to battle this evolving Scorn army.
Interesting. That is, thank you, by the way, for not only, now your narrative directed us into our segue as well, so thank you very much. Narrative design as well. And so I think we should go ahead and dive into a little bit of gameplay, starting off here with Clayton. So we just heard a little bit about some new tonics and everything. Can you tell us a little bit about where we are and what we're going to be doing here? This is the new Apothecary, I believe?
That's right. So we're in the Apothecary space, and Jerome was just mentioning the tonics and potions that we'll be crafting. They come in 2 flavors. They come in combat flavors, and they come in reward flavors.
Combat and reward.
The combat flavors are going to enhance, or rather boost your artifact perks, specific ones.
Artifact?
Higher rarities of these tonics will boost multiple artifact perks, which is really great.
Okay.
Oh, that's going to be broken depending on the perks.
Wanted to create a new or novel way to chase your gear and your weapons that you love. And we took a lot of inspiration from the success of Into the Light, where players got to attune to specific weapons. And so with your reward tonics, you'll be able to attune to specific weapons within the season.
For 60 minutes.
They're not craftable in this season, which is important to note, but you will be able to target them.
Wait. Hold up, what did they say?
Attune to specific weapons within the season.
Very nice.
They're not craftable in this season, which is important to note, but you will be able
No, I'm not. No. They're not craftable. Are you... You know, it's fine. It just doesn't mean I'm gonna be hunting for that long. Nope. Because if I... God motherfucking... So they're not gonna be craftable is what they're saying. That's kind of fine. But at the same time, it sucks because I don't want to be chasing a so-called god world that's going to be obsolete in the next season or 2 because they're changing up the meta every season.
Be able to target them, and they'll have enhanced perks.
Got it. Okay. So you can go ahead and chase down that god roll you're looking so desperately for.
Because you're going to change it, the meta,
also,
or
nerf
it.
Out there, they're going to have even more to dive into than maybe just the episode artifact and everything. These are going to go ahead and help just boost a lot of those traits, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So build crafters, make sure your appetites are whetted and ready. There's going to be plenty of stuff for you to go ahead and dive into. But we're going to go ahead also and dive into some of the meat and potatoes of today's stream, proverbially speaking. As we're on our way over to Onslaught, Clayton, I just want to go ahead and also start there. Onslaught's getting kind of a new revamp this episode as well. You guys have left proverbially very few, if any, stones untouched this time around.
Correct. Yeah.
What? So, what are you doing to Onslaught?
Feedback. They want to see us invest in Onslaught. We are coming out with a brand new Onslaught called Onslaught Salvation.
Yeah.
We are going to have 3 maps that you'll be in there. You will have some new defenses.
Please.
You'll have enemy factions that will be fighting.
Show it, please.
We'll have the Scorn.
For the love
the
of
Dark
God,
Hall,
show it,
a
please.
bunch of other new stuff that we can get
I
into.
would love to see
Excellent.
it.
Yeah, we'll be diving into that here briefly. You can see our fire team is now on their way. While we're on the way over as well, I heard a brief mention of our friends in the Shadow Legion as well. Can you tell us what the Shadow Legion is doing here and
Shadow
why they might be
Legion?
in league with Fickrel, Jerome?
The Shadow Legion are bumming. They are in utter disarray. Their leader has been slain, and they are grasping to anyone who can keep them in power.
Yeah.
And Fickrel holds the most powerful artifact around now.
Got it.
So they will be doing his
yeah.
bidding, though it will be a tenuous alliance.
Tenuous.
They're going with Fickrel's Riz just for right now, but that may not be the case later on.
That's right. We will do our best to stomp that out.
Thank you. All right, fair enough. Much appreciated. All right, so now we are
Ooh,
here. We're in Onslaught.
that's
We're
a new
on
map.
Widow's Court.
And a new weapon.
So PvP players will recognize this map, and they'll also recognize some of the changes
Deathless
to accommodate
agent
for, the
activity.
slaying, the amounts of slaying that is necessary for an onslaught activity.
Yeah, a quick refresher for the folks at home that may not have dove into Onslaught recently or since Into the Light. There is the 10 level mode and the 50 level mode. Isn't
I
there?
like that grenade
Onslaught
launcher.
Salvation will also be coming.
Wait a
with
second.
The, 3 modes that they've.
That's a is that a primary legendary grenade launcher? No, it has to be exotic. It has to be an exotic stasis one. There's no way that it's a primary hand grenade launcher that's not stasis. Oh no, there's no way that it's a primary legendary stasis weapon that has infinite ammo. There's no way that they'd make that. Not exotic.
10 wave mode, the normal 50 wave mode, and then we'll have our expert 50 wave mode. And the new thing about Onslaught Salvation, one of the new things,
Please
is that
show
it will not
show
be
you
power
operating
fixed like it was
power
prior to Light.
fixed.
Oh, right.
Power enabled, so your armor and your weapons will matter even more.
Yeah.
It will be at the start more difficult, but you can,
Airstrikes.
through getting better, more power, and grinding that artifact level, you'll be able to kind of outweigh that difficulty.
Yeah.
And you'll also be able to rely on some of the new defenses as
Yeah,
well.
I was going to say, we were just looking at a turret that maybe Guardians haven't seen since their days on the moon in D1. Can you tell us, like, what's going on? We got some new defenses, obviously.
The ranged
Some new defenses.
abomination.
So, Ashley Baker is one of the tech designers we have. She's on the fire team right
Wait,
now.
is
and
that's a
she's
new
helped us build these
symbol?
defenses, as well as other things in
Yeah, that kind of looks like the Fickrel symbol, but I
She's
can't
worked
tell.
with the Sandbox team, who have knocked it out of the park with this rideable turret.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a
Rideable
standard
turret.
at first, but by upgrade 3, it's going to have more health, it's going to be dealing more damage, but it's also going to have scorching rounds come out of it.
Okay.
And what the cool thing about that is that if you have build crafting with fragments or what have
That's
you,
a
within
shotgun.
Scorching, that will play off that if you're the rider.
Very nice.
Turret,
Okay.
yeah.
So you can go ahead and really scorch everyone.
Everyone,
as much as
clumps of
possible.
enemies,
Yeah.
those annoying demolitionists that come in front of the ADU and scare
Yeah.
the hell out of you.
Yeah, they do. That was my words. Okay, they do scare that.
Yeah.
All right. So in the subject or in the topic of new defenses, so we're bringing back the turret from yesterdecade of Destiny, but also there's some other ones available as well. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe some new defenses that are on the way?
Yes, so the other one that we have is the Airstrike, which will have 3 cannons when you purchase it, or upgrade it. They'll be replenished there. And what that allows you to do is essentially mark anywhere on the ground.
Yeah.
And when an enemy or enemies run over it, a giant beam, it will come down from the sky and obliterate your enemies. I'm going to keep a little bit of the secret for higher upgrades. I want to
No, that's
reveal
fair.
everything
That's fair.
here, but there's some really nice
Yeah,
upgrades.
Nimbus liked that. We'll just go ahead and put that.
There you go.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Oh God, they
and
mentioned
actually, so
Nimbus.
just to double check as well, with the airstrikes, it's not just you plant it and it fires. It actually has to wait for someone to kind of trigger that.
Waits for someone to come over, yeah.
Very nice, okay.
Much like the tripwire, which we are also updating. For
Tripwire.
Onslaught Salvation. We've heard the feedback about the tripwires.
Expert
and,
Widow's
want to bring the
Cart.
value up a little bit more. So now they're going to be exploding with stasis slow fields.
Yeah.
And on higher upgrades, they'll be creating stasis crystals for you to play off of if you have a stasis build. Stasis
Oh,
weapon.
that's it.
And then I'm happy to share
Wait a
that
second.
those updates will also be available.
Wait a second. Hold up, that's interesting. Why they would add new dialogue. Does that mean this is gonna be the seasonal activity? This is the Onslaught Salvation. Does that mean it's gonna be the new seasonal activity? I feel like it is gonna be the new seasonal activity, but I can't tell right now, and I don't want to assume anything right now. So
the original Onslaught as well.
Very nice. Okay, so all the updates that are happening to the defenses that are available in Onslaught Salvation will be available in the traditional Onslaught mode as well.
Just the tripwires, yeah.
Very exciting. Okay,
yeah,
nice. It's good to see. Yeah. While we're on the topic of stasis and obviously looking at our tools for destruction, Chris, I'd be remiss if I didn't try and bring up the new breach loading grenade launcher that our fire team here is getting a lot of use out of. There's obviously a decent chunk of new weapons arriving with Revenant, but let's start here. This is the new seasonal, or pardon me, episodic exotic.
Yeah, this would be.
Yep, I knew it. I called it.
The Alephamin stasis primary ammo.
I fucking called it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
So we've only had one primary ammo grenade launcher before, which is Fighting
Lion.
which is getting a buff this season as well. Actually, it'll,
No one's gonna use it.
Make enemies volatile when it hits them, so like some serious build crafting there, particularly in PvE. But anyway, so this is a bit different in that it's also.
They seriously, oh my, that's. They seriously don't.
Like mountaintop.
Yeah.
Hits pretty hard.
2029.
The exotic part of it is that as you defeat enemies, you will gather these remnants, which will fill up the exotic bar, which you can see in the HUD when people aren't dead.
Yeah. It's the shade.
Yes.
Well, they're in expert.
No, that's true. Yeah, this is, we should note for the Guardians at home, this is an expert mode, so they're taking the hard way.
No. It's
So
free.
which is 50%. You can special reload, and your next shot will launch a special ammo brick for you and your allies to pick up.
Very nice.
And when you reach 100, you can special reload and launch heavy ammo. So this lets
Holy
you
sh-
on a new type of support role.
Holy
Ammo
shit,
support.
that's actually, well, we'll have to see how good it is, but holy shit, that's
Make sure that
insane.
you're really feeding the fire, feeding the fuel part.
It's like Aeon Soul, but but gun.
Awesome recently, so
potentially you could have one person in the fire team go all in on ammo generation.
Yeah.
The other folks build
Very
something else.
That's insane.
So Clayton, when it comes to the other stuff that's arriving,
I may
with
actually
Onslaught
use
Salvation,
that.
are there any new things we're looking forward to? I know that we're obviously fighting the evolved Scorn, but are there any new bosses or anything people can look forward to?
Right. So the Fickrel Scorn are also going to be coming out with what we're calling the Revenant Baron.
Okay.
Revenant
That thing
Baron.
is scary, and you'll see it on wave 6 here in a second when the players are instructed to go into like a Revenant nest and go and save.
Yep, it is a new seasonal
Those
activity.
Revenant Barons,
It
they
has to be a
stalk the
new
area,
seasonal
and when you
activity.
kill
It has to be
them,
the
they
new.
create a Revenant totem, which
It
flies in
has
a
to be
random direction,
the
leaving a
new
trail so you
seasonal
can kind of, like,
activity.
stalk it, find it.
Yeah.
You have to kill it before it would respawn the Revenant Baron.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's some
What?
hide and seek gameplay there.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hold up, what?
On wave 6 here.
But I do want to say this real quick. This 100%, I can almost say with certainty that this will be the new seasonal activity, and they're not making another seasonal activity. I can almost say for certain, because it kind of looks like it, especially since it has an expert mode. But I can't say for certain, but it definitely looks like it's gonna be the seasonal activity for episode Revenant.
In a second when the players are instructed to go into like a Revenant nest
Uh-huh.
and go and save the Elixir from being captured.
Yeah.
These Revenant Barons.
So the premises is they're capturing Elixir to kill them, because that's Fickrel's whole thing is he needs undead Elixir to create his scorn. So wouldn't it be killing them?
They stalk the area, and when you kill them, they will create a Revenant totem, which flies in a random direction, leaving a trail so you can kind of like stalk it, find it.
Yeah.
You have to kill it before it would respawn the Revenant Baron.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's some hide and seek gameplay there.
Nah, that's. Imagine that's a grandmaster. Imagine that would be a grandmaster. Nah, that would be fucked. That would be fucked.
Yeah, and so we also have for the rewards side.
That's gonna be in the exotic mission, and that's gonna be fucked. I can almost guarantee that's gonna be one of the major parts of the exotic mission, and that's gonna be majorly fucked because you're gonna have to find it before it respawns.
Starting on wave 30, set 3, players will have a small chance to get a fully masterwork double perked episodic weapon.
Oh, nice.
What? By wave 30? you get a higher chance. Oh, that's more of an incentive than the original Onslaught had, because the original Onslaught, playing the 50 wave version, it didn't have that much incentive, but that gives you incentive.
Okay. Yeah, and on Expert, like we're playing, if you remember the bonus chest on harder difficulties, so if you're playing on Expert, you have 2 chances.
Okay, all right. So really make sure you're pushing through those final levels. Try and hit that ceiling of level 50 so you can really facilitate.
Wait, did it say Expert?
On harder difficulties will show up. So if you're playing on Expert, you have 2 chances.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So really make sure you're pushing through those final levels. Try and hit that ceiling of level 50 so you can really facilitate the loot grind as much as you can.
100%.
Something we mentioned recently in one of our Dev Insight vlogs as well are Banes, which are going to be making an appearance here in Onslaught. Can you tell us
I knew Crow.
as well?
Yeah, so we'll be, with the Expert mode only, we'll be having Banes throughout the activity, and we'll also be adding mods. So it's really nice to have them show up because they add another layer of replayability into Expert. You don't know if you're going to get the gaseous one where you got a dot on you, or if you have to break line of sight, but it adds a fun variability within the gameplay, so every wave feels different.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have, please.
I just wanted to point out here, you'll notice 2 things. First off, the fire team is tracking that Revenant Baron, just like you said.
Yeah.
And also freeing captured Elixni. And as to why people would want to keep Elixni captives alive, I'll save that for the players to discover.
No!
That, you'll see
Cursed.
chiming in a lot. He's features prominently in the season.
Right.
Yep, knew it.
Because he is inadvertently, of course, responsible for creating Fickle, so it's his responsibility as the new Hunter Vanguard to rectify his old problem.
And Cal.
He can't be like, hey man, that was Ultron. That wasn't me. He's going to step up and take responsibility.
No, we finished the job on Fickrel this time.
Even to that same end too, we're going to be hanging out with Crow, with Ido, and with Mithrax, obviously the main kind of part of the story. They're going to be the ones that we're going to be hanging out with the most, you'd say? Or there
will be some other Elixni, some venerable old school Elixni that poke their heads in that you'll see some...
They have to be referring to, Aramis. They have to be. This is a dead giveaway to Aramis. I almost certainly think so.
Some drama with. I won't say any more than that.
Yeah, it's Aramis.
It will be in everyone's interest to see Fickrel go down here.
Okay, got it. A little bit.
It has to be Aramis. It almost certainly has to be Aramis. It couldn't be anyone else. It's either Aramis or it's I forget his name, but there's another Elixni in the Deep Stone Crypt final boss, but I don't think that one is as likely as Aramis. Because it's either Aramis or Spider. But I'm assuming it's more so Aramis.
My enemy. In this case, they're all our enemy.
That's right.
Yep, it is Aramis.
Actually, really quickly, Clayton, I know we kind of touched on several different subjects here between the different defenses, different enemies, the different kind of, structural opportunities that Onslaught Salvation has provided you. What was it like, sitting down with a team and sort of looking at this new refresh on this activity? Like, did you guys take any big challenges for yourself where, like, we want to do this?
Yeah, we knew we just wanted to build and evolve and just do more.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
It's a metal episode. We want to do Onslaught. Let's metal it up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So things like the turret, things like the Revenant Baron. We really want to play into the themes of this kind of haunting, spooky episode.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that in the roll dart. You're seeing that in the different defenses and the mechanics that we're bringing in as well. Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention too is we are updating the moth yards from the original Onslaught.
Oh, really?
We've heard feedback from there. It's taking a little bit longer. We want to bring our goal is to bring that in line with the rest of the maps of the original Onslaught. So we're making some updates there to get that to go.
Very exciting. So reasons obviously to dive into all versions of Onslaught. So we go ahead and move into Revenant.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Actually, and while we're here out here, slaying out as best as we can against this new undead army, Chris, we're going to have obviously a slew of new episodic weapons arriving this time.
Yeah.
Do we get
I know
a
we've
preview?
Spoken about this breach loading grenade launcher. Are there any other notable ones that you're most interested in, or most excited rather, I should say, in bringing back?
Yeah, there are a few weapons that I'm going to personally be chasing rolls on. I'm particularly fond of the new double fire stasis grenade launcher.
Yes.
Only the third double fire in the game, and the other 2 are energy slot.
Yeah.
Why?
Kinetic slot. It's got the new perk Envious Arsenal, which is like directly targeted at damage rotations. So
Yeah.
whenever you do damage with the other two weapons, the weapon reloads.
Yeah.
So you can just cycle between your weapons, get it back. And it also has chill clip, which on a double fire.
Whenever you do, that's gonna fuck up damage rotations if it's on any good heavy weapons. But I mean, if it's on the stasis, double loading grenade launcher is not really gonna be. You're not really using that for damage, so.
Is particularly cool.
That's what I said, devious, honestly.
Twice or 4 times.
Yeah.
There's also some cool synergies with the new perks on some of the other weapons. So the hand cannon can run the new perk Rhyme Stealer.
Yep, there's a
Every
hand
time you
cannon.
shatter a stasis crystal or a frozen enemy will grant you frost armor.
Yeah.
Which is
Frost
the new
armor.
verb we introduced recently.
Right.
And that can also roll with headstone, which will generate stasis crystals.
Yeah.
So you've got this like self-contained loop there.
Yeah.
Submachine gun is an arc precision, and that's got the new perk. Shoot, what is the name of that?
Every time an arc SNG has been released, it's been bad. And this one is probably going to be no exception.
My memory's failing me. Yeah.
Anyway, it ties back into Jolt, right? Like the
Right. Thank you.
Vault Shot is great, but it requires a reload on your weapon after a kill.
Yeah.
This one's triggered on sustained damage, so
That's right.
you'll jolt the target, and then the perk I'm going for in the other column is loose change, which every
Yep, I told you. It's going to be bad.
time you apply a debuff, gives you a reload speed buff. So
If they're promoting loose change on an SNG, it's not a good time, because that is very situational. So just stop. I'm sorry, but it's not. No one's gonna chase that.
you'll be constantly having that loop cycle.
Yeah. And also, so we're going to look at the new artifact here in a little bit once we go ahead and move through this final wave of what's in front of us right now. But there's also, it's been featured a little bit in some
Ether
artifacts
Gorge
10th anniversary,
Thorn.
an exotic of yesteryear, we'd say, with for all the Guardians who have been sticking around for a
Yesteryear.
while. Icebreaker is returning.
Yeah, Icebreaker is coming back. It's something that we've been holding off on doing just because the ammo economy issues that are introduced in Destiny 1
Sure.
are pretty dire.
Yeah.
But we've got a
Loot
version
bubble
here
failed
which,
to spawn. Item may be flushed to
I think lets
postmaster.
you get back into that fantasy of just like always having uptime on the weapon,
Yeah.
without letting you just hang back and like plink away at enemies from range, which
Yeah.
you never liked. So
Yeah.
the way it works is assists and final blows with other weapons will just generate ammo for Icebreaker.
Got it,
And It's
okay.
got like a 10-round magazine, which is also the same size as reserves.
Yeah.
So the play is that in between boss damage phases or something, you and your
Oh,
team stay
God.
out, and as long as you're
Yeah.
getting assists or kills, you'll come back in fully loaded.
Got it. Yeah.
And in Destiny 1, there wasn't actually any ice to break, right? So
True.
this time, we actually have a bunch of ice that we can break. I won't go into details, we've got limited time. But
Fair enough. Okay.
Ties deeply into
Yeah,
it.
this stasis episode will certainly be giving people a lot of reasons to break the proverbial ice by the sounds of it. No, that's very exciting to check out. Now, while we're still here, let's go ahead and check out the new artifact that's going to be arriving. We love getting a chance to show all of you folks this early, so you can go ahead and start your build crafting. But Chris, I know obviously last time around, if I had to kind of paint it with a meta, I'd say rather it'd be very focused. Last time around,
Overload
if I had
machine
to
gun,
kind of paint it with a
unstoppable pulse
meta,
rifle.
I'd say rather.
No. Stop this. Stop this now. Stop putting cursed weapons. Stop putting cursed weapons as the only weapons that can pop barriers. Stop it. Stop it right now. No one, I can almost promise you, no one especially in Grandmasters, no one is going to use a shotgun to get close to a barrier champion without dying. So stop this. Stop that. Hold up. Give me a second, by the way.
They'd be very focused on sniper rifles, solar. If there was a
rifles.
similar theme for this particular artifact, what would it be?
So it goes very hard into stasis.
Yeah.
Like touches all of the stasis verbs. If you want to make a
We
stasis
can
build,
see.
you can amplify it in a bunch of ways.
Dark Ether Reaper origin trait. 89 days. That's That's 89 days from the 8th. And each week is 7 days. So yeah, so like somewhere in January or February or early February, when this episode is gonna end.
Yeah.
Here, we're also adding a bunch of grenade launcher perks. So we've got overload grenade launchers, which is great, like tagging those like super deadly overload champions.
Yeah.
Also bringing back a variant of like everyone's favorite grenade launcher artifact perk, Breach and Clear.
Oh yes.
Wait, really? Damage a boss, damage a champion, or break command shields weakens them. Oh, the grenade launchers are kind of gonna be meta. Like you're gonna be wanting to rock a grenade launcher for this season, kind of.
And then when you boost it, you can get
especially some certain grenade launchers that haven't seen the light of day really that much.
That's right. Yeah. Good. I also will admit I'm very selfishly excited to see anti-barrier scout rifle back. It's been so long.
Anti-barrier
for real.
Scout is great.
I'm gonna pretend like that's just for me, for my own benefit today.
We're trying something a bit different with this artifact as well, in that the first column is all anti-champion mods, and the final column is all of the pinnacle ones, like the capstones for your artifact build.
Right. Yeah.
But columns 2, 3, and 4 are roughly equivalent in power, which will let you mix and match them more freely instead of feeling like you have to like go for the top tier ones. They're all
No. You still have to go for the top tier ones.
In a lot of ways. Very exciting. Okay. So there'll be plenty of opportunities for players to go ahead and amplify their builds, go ahead and really lean into one play style. If, again, you're like me and want to run double grenade launchers, this feels like a remarkably great season to be doing that, especially with the Fighting Lion buff. Thank you for sharing that with us. But I believe that actually wraps us up for this particular segment of Onslaught. But there's also a couple more things that I wanted to go ahead and tease for the arrival of Act 1. For starters,
bullshit.
An old favorite strike is going to be making its return. The Inverted Spire is returning. But Clayton, it's not coming back exactly as people remember it, is it?
Nope. We're taking an approach and adjusting all the encounters. And you'll see
that sounds
more
all
Vex
right.
than what you're used to.
True.
More Vex.
My compatriot on the social media team, Mitch, showed me through it a little bit. The only thing I'll spoil is if you like death lasers, you're gonna have a great time out there.
Oh no.
And then in addition to that, there's one more thing we wanted to add in. Arriving with Act 2, mind you, of Revenant, and I'm going to read this to make sure I get it right, inspired from a fan favorite activity from Destiny's past. We're going to go ahead and bring back an activity, but we're not going to tell you anything outside of that. So chat, speculate, let us know what you think. Go ahead and shout us out on Twitter or wherever it is you like to hang out online.
I would assume it's sparrow racing.
With that, I think we're going to get ready, for the next segment. But in the meantime, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and share a little bit of what's arriving with Revenant. We appreciate your time so much today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
It takes a lot to make me look good, so thank you guys for stepping up here and helping out. I appreciate it. Now, as we transition into our next stage, we've got what we've called in my notes the cool stuff segment, and I think it lives up to that. So we'll go ahead and show you a little bit more of what's to be arriving with Revenant, including what you're seeing here on your screen right now. This is the second earnable skimmer that's going to be arriving in Destiny 2, the aptly named, we'll wait for it to highlight, the Zerfboard. I was so glad that was the name that stuck. As you can see, it features some very unique 9 style styling, inspired by Xur himself. Both top and bottom are very arted up. The top's obviously a little bit more visible here, but if you do a sweet front flip or back flip, if you're capable of it, you can go ahead and see all sides of it. Notably, this is going to be earnable. So if you go ahead and start saving up those strange coins now, it's going to cost you 97 of them. So if you're like me and spend your weekends spending all those extra strange coins at Xur to go ahead and get more rolls on your exotic class item, maybe save up for a week or two. Also, because I work here, I've started saving up already, spoiler alert. But the Zerfboard will be available with the arrival of Revenant. So make sure
I'm saving up.
The first earnable skimmer since the Guardian Games. In addition to that, we obviously have mentioned very recently that we're going to be having a new dungeon arriving with Revenant, and as a part of this, we're going to be doing a dungeon race in cooperation with our friends over at Twitch Rivals. We've put the sign-up link out there. It's available on our social media channels or in the TWID, or if you prefer your URL's phonetic, it's bung.ie/Twitch Rivals. You can go ahead and head out there, sign up with your fire team, and make sure that you're ready to go ahead and take on this new challenge, which will, again, also provide some additional chances for Bungie rewards. You can see here on screen, we've got a look at the hoodie that will be earnable along with the bracelet. But perhaps what's most interesting about the hoodie is that as a part of the dungeon race, if you're one of the top 3 teams to go ahead and cross that proverbial finish line, then we'll be able to ship out a special embroidered version with your gamer tag on it as well. So make sure you go ahead and dive on in and prepare to try and cross that finish line first. And now we're also going to take one quick look. Festival of the Lost is going to be arriving with Act 1 of Revenant as well. And if you all remember, you took a chance to vote on some armor sets for yourselves. So Hunters.
That's Hunters.
You can see
I like the
we've got
Hunter
Evil
one.
Wizard set. I myself am very looking forward to adding this to my collection.
Same.
The Evil Gothic set is just going to only dial up more and more. Up next, our friendly neighborhood Warlocks. You've got this to look forward to, including what I think we effectively refer to as probably the coolest pants we've all ever seen. Over here at Bungie. And breaking out from the crowd, the Good Wizards this time around.
And then the Titan.
Voted for it this way. You're going to have the chance to go ahead and add this into your arsenal as well.
I'm probably gonna get all 3
make sure
sets.
that you're prepared to go ahead and dive on into Festival of the Lost and grab this stuff once it's available. And I'm going to be doing that, so maybe I'm just projecting. But either way, make sure and get ready to go ahead and update.
I'm going to be updating it for sure.
But now we get to move on to our second segment of the show, where we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about what's further on down the road. So we've talked about what's just around the corner. Let's look forward to Frontiers. And here to help me discuss those topics today, that topic today as well, rather, are these 2 fine individuals to my left, which you've met at some point or another. But again, we'll make sure and introduce them to everyone out there in the crowd. We'll start with you first, Allison. Allison, how's it going?
It's going so good. I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
We're up so early. I'm doing well, thank you so much.
Good.
Allison, obviously narrative director here on Destiny at Bungie. Can you tell anyone who may not have seen you in a Vidoc or one of our past streams a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So I'm the narrative director for D2. It is me and my team's job to tell stories. It's our job to take care of our characters, of our arcs. We make you laugh. We make you cry. We make you have feelings that you normally don't have to have in your usual day-to-day life.
I was raised not to feel feelings, so it's a very upsetting experience when I
Feelings are distressing.
Oh, no.
I understand. We also get to plan future things, planning ahead for the arcs to come.
Yes.
And the
that's what
saga
we're
to come.
about. I know. Only saga. We'll have a little bit to dive into as well today. I know. I'm so excited. And then also sitting next to her, Robbie Stevens, assistant game director here at Bungie, a man that I've not had a chance to interview since back in my Mixer days. But if you've tuned into these Bungie streams in the past, you've seen him as well. Robbie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Andy. And I think you've grown a lot since those days.
Thank you. It's been so long, right? Yeah. My badge changed and everything. For the folks that may not know you or may not know what a game director does, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so one of the main things I do as assistant game director for Destiny 2 is I work on the creative direction and vision for where we're going with Destiny coming up in the future with Codename Frontiers. So I get to work with our game director, Tyson Green, and Allison Lerner, our narrative director, and a bunch of our other creative leaders on how we shape the future of Destiny to come.
Very exciting, which we are going to be diving into now. I know we've obviously released some blogs about the Codename Frontiers stuff already. If you've been out on Bungie.net reading the Dev Insight blogs, there's been a good amount to dive into. But our friends over on the community team as well have been helping us kind of, read more into what the audience feedback has been and what the players are saying. And so we've had obviously some topics come up that I think we should just go ahead and dive on into.
Let's party.
Absolutely. Okay, that's the right attitude. Let's party at this early in the morning. Always the answer I want to hear.
Early in the morning.
Robbie, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Yes.
One of the things we said is that
different
these
time
expansions
zones
are going to be medium-sized. Can you help us understand a little bit more about what that means?
Yeah, definitely. So expansions are changing going forward with Codename Frontiers. And so our philosophy
the price will change
from one really big, all-consuming tentpole moment that kind of takes all the oxygen in the room at one point in the year to 2 what we consider big tentpole moments happening in each year. And so those tentpole moments coming twice a year now are going to bring with them fresh content and new stories that are going to move the world of Destiny forward. And to answer your question directly, the way we're kind of looking at the size of these is similar to like Rise of Iron from Destiny 1. And, but this is happening like twice a year as compared to the past.
Yeah.
And so, what's kind of the reason we're talking about this, the rough shape of the box here that we're filling is that what comes with it is like each expansion is going to have its own unique version of a campaign and post-game experience that you can dive really deep into beyond the initial playthrough, similar to how things like the Dreaming City or the Pale Heart from the Final Shape had worked, where those beyond those initial campaign experiences, there's like further things to explore and secrets to uncover. And so making our expansions unique and deeply replayable is a big goal for us, in large part to support all the new gear and the new tiering of gear that we're putting.
New tiering of gear.
And so it's one about so like each of these expansions, again, they're going to tell a really compelling story as part of our next saga. But I really want to stress that they're also going to be unique experiences, unique campaigns and post games.
Yeah, I know that's something like, I've kind of overheard some of the conversations where when it comes to these expansions as well, obviously the corollary we're using today is Rise of Iron, but like these are going to be brand new experiences, things that we just like haven't released before in the past.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that as well? Or
yeah, definitely. And so for Codename Apollo specifically, the first expansion coming up with Frontiers, you're going to journey to a Metroidvania-inspired destination, right? That's our
Metroidvania.
For how we're creating this new location. And so this new destination is going to feature a non-linear campaign that puts
outside of the Soul System
in the driver's seat of exploring its world and its story. So this is very different from the past, where you're kind of following.
So they kind of have to make it like an open world-ish story.
That's
kind of in a
simple in
sense.
many ways. And Allison actually recently talked a bunch about this in a blog post.
So when we made the decision to lean into that Metroidvania structure, we knew that the narrative structure had to match, like had to complement that structure as well. And so the way that we're going to treat nonlinearity in Codename Apollo is when you arrive at our destination, which is a new destination, you'll be able to decide if you want to go to region D or region C, or maybe you want to go check out B, because that's going to be where you get the ability that allows you to access region A, so you can talk to that character that you really like. We really want that sense of the player being in the driver's seat, of being able to decide where and how they want to explore and discover the secrets that we have.
So
in the
technically,
world.
you still are going to be
Whichever of those
gatekeeping a
different
little
choices
bit.
that you make doesn't negate the others. We want you to explore every crevice inside of the experience, and to help support that, we've structured our story in a complementary way. So we'll have the normal kinds of like activity dialogue that you normally experience in a campaign. But there's also between 25 and 30 different threads of stories that you can discover and chain together after you complete an activity. There's so much richness to discover that we're creating.
You see that little thread of that shining rock somewhere, you can really just...
So what this is saying is that they're already working on the Codename Apollo or whatever it's called. So that's telling me that they're already storyboarding or starting to work on it. So they're done with... Well, they obviously have to be done with Revenant, but they're either finishing or getting close to finishing the final episode, which is Heresy. So they're getting close to finishing Heresy. Because they seem to be working on Apollo now, because they wouldn't reveal all the stuff about Apollo if it wasn't in the works already, or they had some sort of framework for it. They wouldn't reveal anything about it. At least that's what makes sense to me. They could just be starting on it, so I don't know, but yeah, sounds like they're just starting to work on it, Apollo now.
Just afford to pull on it and just dive in by the sound
Absolutely, that's what we want you to do.
Okay, that's awesome. So actually, let's go ahead and stay on the topic of story here for just a second as well. I think that there's been some conversations about the future of narrative destiny, which has obviously been so central to the experience, so core to our characters and our stories. There's been some concern that maybe the new structure might not afford the opportunity for as much story in the past. Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys are planning and what that means?
That would be news to me if it suddenly vanished. I like what
Allison,
I do.
please stay.
Please don't let exactly.
Is this how we find out?
No, story is destiny. Like what makes destiny destiny is that beating heart of story at its core. That's not going anywhere. The thing that this new structure allows us comes in two parts for story. Like part one is pacing. With these 2 tentpole beats a year, the feeling that the world is changing and growing and moving is going to come much quicker now.
Yeah,
then we can move the plot along at a much quicker pace than we used to.
Yeah, she's right here. Because it always... I mean, the seasons were like... kind of small, like 3-month events that help build up to the climactic once in a year massive change that pushed you forward into the next year. So she is very much correct here, because instead of having one major moment that pushes the game forward, the narrative experience forward, there's two beats that push it forward a year. So it'll make it feel like they're coming quicker than just waiting until that one point in the year where it's just like the major expansion of the year comes out and you have to play it to experience it and all that stuff. So yeah.
To.
Totally.
Part 2 is focus. Because these are much more focused releases, we don't have to worry about padding the sides with a bunch of extra stuff to kind of fill in the space. Like, nope, we are zeroing in on exactly what each of these releases is trying to communicate.
Yeah.
Right. I'll believe that when I see it. That's the only way I'm gonna believe it is I'll believe it when I see it.
And so that means we're going to tell a more focused story and with pacing that keeps up with what fans want.
Yeah. I mean,
I will believe that when I see it, whenever that episode comes out, no, not episode, Frontiers comes out.
It's also, too, it's interesting because, obviously the narrative is one big part, the story you're telling, the words on the page. But another part of it, given that we have the unique opportunity with a medium like video games, is how players interact with it. We've seen some comments online and some notable conversations about, go talk to vendor X, head over to the holodeck and say hello to this other person, go back to vendor X and shake their hand one more time.
For real,
that structure, what you guys are planning on?
Yeah, it drives us bonkers too. Yeah.
It drives you bonkers, and you haven't done it, and you haven't even talked about it until just now. Hopefully they're changing it.
No, we believe that everything should be questioned, right? Like, we should be questioning that structure, and we should be reinvestigating it. And starting with Revenant, and especially when we get to Apollo, we're going
Revenant, starting next week.
Deliberately shaking it up. By the time we get to Apollo, that loop, that pattern is more or less gone. We're shaking things up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Al
I'll wait
earlier
to see
about all
that.
those threads that you're pulling on, right? Like, these are characters out in the world that you're exploring and discovering, right, as part of your journey here. And so it's not you going to the same location where you expect to see someone delivering a piece of information to you between, specific missions. It is like you exploring the world, finding these people, pulling on all these different threads in order to discover things within this weird and wonderful place.
Exactly. The feedback is loud and clear. We want to keep the player out in the world, out and exploring, and get information to them for a change.
Yeah.
So we're listening.
And also, I mean, I will say, Allison, you didn't arrive empty-handed. You've got some cool concept art to share with us as well.
I brought some goodies.
Okay.
I brought some presents.
Thank you.
I brought some birthday presents. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, everyone who's born on
Looking at
October 1st.
concept art is always a joy.
Exactly.
It's a good way to go about it. It's better than wrapping paper covering a PlayStation. I don't know.
It's true. It's true.
Let's go ahead and take a look. So this is...
Damn, they took a shot at PlayStation. What? Whoa, what is that? I know it's concept art, but it kind of looks like a pyramid-esque, but it looks different. It's not, I don't know.
On screen, kind of one of our first pieces of concept art from the future. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here?
No, I can't. What I can tell you is that this is some concept art of our new destination, which, like I said, is a new place that we haven't been to before, which means that these people that you're seeing are people that we haven't met yet. We're going to learn a lot more about them, and I love this piece because the longer that you look at it, same with some of the other art that we've shared so far, the more you start to see things that are kind of familiar all the way out at this new location.
Yeah, it's like
so lots of fun things to discover.
What's the symbol on that banner? Is this a seance or a wedding ceremony? Who knows?
I know,
right?
and I'm not telling.
Telling a single soul.
No.
Okay, all right. Plenty to dive into, including we've got another piece of concept art here as well.
Yeah, something we talk about a lot, and like I think the last concept really like spoke to it is like when we're, especially when we're developing a new destination like this, like we really think about like what is a storied history that's happened here? What's something that players can like really sink their teeth into?
It looks like Hive.
And going into this concept, something that I love about it that's really
kind of looks like Hive.
The early creative discussions we had on it is that we wanted this place to feel like an exotic world that is just tailor built around the joy of discovery, right? And then so within this new destination in Apollo, you're going to be discovering powerful abilities in order to uncover secrets in this location and in order to carve a path to the great mystery at the heart of the planet. And that's what like these concepts, you know, when I look at them in retrospective as the team is now actively like building a bunch of this stuff, it's very evocative for me from that feeling of like, hey, how can, it's something Tyson and Alice and I talk a lot about, is like, how can we get that like grand mystery in that game, that feeling that there's something right around the corner, that like it's kind of at the heart, has been at the heart of Destiny for a long time. And as we've been closing down the Light Dark saga, it's been an amazing roller coaster ride, but we want to expand and grow Destiny and we want to change it. And you know, that's what I think these concepts are starting to speak for us, trying to show not just us telling of like some of that direction.
I mean, it's exciting to see because I think one thing I've heard you guys talk about a lot as well is, you know, just the inspirations that you want to obviously provide the players. You build these new worlds, but you guys have been diving into a lot of crazy subject matter just on your own to get inspired as well. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of some of the
subject
fun
matter
listening you've been doing as you've been going through this?
Sure. One of the fun parts about being a creative is that you have to fill the tank with something. And
certainly.
so that means doing a lot of research, finding a lot of other targets in media, or even just like what music you're listening to while you're working on a script, right? I know for our team, something that really inspired us was music of the 1960s. We've listened to a lot of early prog, a lot of King Crimson, and a lot of, oh gosh, The Doors and Jefferson Airplane. We also, there's a lot of Slaughterhouse-Five inside of this.
Cheery.
We love to look for inspiration outside of just games because there's so much in the world that can fill that tank and get us inspired for what's coming next. And we also look to television, of course, too.
I mean, TV and movies is like, I talk about all the line. I mean, Allison as the narrative director, much better at referencing text. I'm a little bit more of a visual guy.
Is that the nice way to say that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you.
Social media and TikTok have rotted us all.
They've just rotted me.
But yeah, like when we talk about like all this inspirational media, like one of the things, Destiny also being a sci-fi game that we talked a bunch about was for Apollo was Scavenger's Reign. That's something that Allison
Scavenger's
Reign concepting we
Reign.
were talking about, and we're like, oh wow, that media, that TV show is so great because like it's familiar in some ways, but as you get closer and you really look at their world, it's really strange and different and weird and mysterious, and it really kind of just builds this halo of allure around it that is something that really spoke to us when we're thinking about like how can we introduce something new to the game at the top of Frontiers.
That's exciting. All right, so there's obviously a lot of new inspirations. We had a chance to look at some concept art, but Allison, I got to put you on the spot just one last time. Do you have any other teasers for us or anything you can give us before we move on to the
I got a weird one.
Okay, even better.
Okay. So imagine going to a mansion, like a really nice, really big fancy house.
Okay,
And
not just the tutorial to Tomb Raider.
No, like a nice So you're going in and looking at like a parlor room or something, and maybe the owner of the house tells you there's a secret door somewhere in here. And you're looking around and you can see the door that you came through and you can see the window, but it kind of looks like a dead end, like there's nothing in here. And everyone knows that a good secret door comes from like behind a bookcase. Like you go up to a bookcase and pull on a book or a little statue that's been in front of your face the whole time, but you just haven't had the focus on it yet. And if you pull on that, it opens up the secret door, and suddenly what was a dead end looks like an entryway. And that's what this saga is.
Okay, that's very exciting. And it won't be like Young Frankenstein.
That's interesting, the way that she describes it. Because, like, pulling the wall out from what would seem to be something, or exposing some sort of new element into, I assume what would be a new element into the game, I assume is what she's referring to, is because the way she said it makes it feel like there's something new coming that they've been hiding for years, almost, kind of, in a sense, but who knows? It could just be, I could just be reading too much into it, but, you know, who knows?
It's not where I get stuck in the door or
You will not get stuck in the door. No, I will not let anyone get stuck in the door.
Or Matthew McConaughey behind the bookcase. Murph.
Okay, all right. Thank you again, Allison, so much. There's
Absolutely.
obviously a lot of cool stuff to dive into, but we'll let you and yours keep crafting. But we've got also one more subject as well. Robbie, I'd love to bug you about one more thing, if
Please.
that's all right.
Yeah.
So we've seen some feedback on reward tiers and how there might not be enough variation in loot for players to go ahead and get encouraged to go ahead and keep chasing down more gear. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're all building right now and kind of what that means to you?
Yeah, so this is like very valid feedback, just acknowledging that in the first place, because the first thing we announced was just like, hey, there's some new tiers, right? And then obviously, yeah, you're going to look at that and go like, well, I have a bunch of amazing armor and weapons now, so like, why does this matter in the future? And so
Exactly.
totally, yeah, that feedback makes a lot of sense to us. And so
I'm not gonna lie. If he doesn't say something with artifice armor, I almost promise you it's not worth your time farming it. If it's not artifice armor, it's not worth it. Or if it's not like enhanced perked weapons, like the best of the best, it's not really worth it because it's just not really worth it.
really top of mind and has been for us for a little while now is how we can make not only chasing gear within individual tiers interesting and the whole system interesting, but also how we can make those higher tiers of gear compelling to chase, right? To have that mountain to climb. And so that comes in two forms that I can talk a little bit about today. One, I can go a little more in depth on, which is our next generation armor. That's going to be coming with Codename Frontiers. And then we have some really early thinking for weapons.
Okay.
And so for armor, yeah, let's start there.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Andy?
That's perfect.
Yeah,
If you wouldn't mind, Robbie.
Yeah, I would.
Okay,
happy
thank
to.
you.
So yeah, let me lean in here to focus a little bit. So for next generation armor, we really want to make armor valuable again. We want to make it easier to understand, and we really want it to have create new build crafting identity. Something that's like really close to home for us right now, because we've had a similar system for a while now. And so part of making it easy to understand new identities is one of the big pieces is going to be a large stat rework to the armor pieces themselves. And so there's going to be fewer stats on each individual piece of armor. So it's way easier to quickly compare pieces of gear and be like, oh, this one's better than that one. I'm building into a specific, discipline, strength, whatever, and you can better understand that. That also means that there's going to be fewer things we call dump stats. Like you looking at a piece of gear and going like, oh man, it only gives me +5 resilience. I don't really want that.
Trash it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, there's still going to be cases where it's like, oh, it has a lot of resilience, but that's not what I'm building into. But it's just going to be way easier to just glance at stuff and figure it out. But beyond that, right? Like, how can we answer that question of how can next gen armor have this new build crafting identity? It also we want to bring new things to the table, right? And so part of the stat rework, we're going to go beyond 100, Andy.
We go beyond
Beyond
sometimes.
100.
Yeah,
Beyond
we've gone
light.
beyond light.
That's right.
Yep, beyond dark with prismatic.
What
This
else
just makes
is there?
sense. Yeah.
Now we're gonna go beyond 100 with armor. Who knew? Like, who knew that's where we go?
That was just hidden in the lore book somewhere, I'm sure.
Beyond
right? Allison?
100.
Yeah, right? Okay. All right. Thank you. No one double check that.
Yeah, don't check our homework. Yeah. So when
Check
we
the
so what I mean
homework.
by going beyond 100. So let's talk about strength, for instance. And so this is some early thinking from the team.
Yeah.
So in the 1 to 100 range, it would still reduce your melee cooldown like it does today. It would still have that, so that would still be really easy to understand. But then from that 101 to 200 range, beyond 100, every point into strength at that point would then give you a chance in order to activate a second melee when power melee becomes charged. So basically you get double melee. You get to double throw your shields or double throw your knives or throw whatever warlock, space magic stuff they throw in. I don't play warlocks.
I'm a hunter.
Yeah.
So what they're saying is that anything after 100 will no longer not do anything. It will build energy towards another melee, is what I'm thinking. That is they're saying, but it's early thinking, so it could easily change.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah.
I can't jump, sorry.
Withering blades for days. That's it. Yeah.
But really, like, the key thing to there, right, is like that starts to create an identity for what you want to build craft into that's very different than just like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm building in a melee, lower cooldown, that's cool. But now you can start build crafting into like, okay, I'm going to regularly, especially at the higher end, start to get double melee charges, right? And so the other thing we're considering right now is also renaming that stat from strength to melee so that it's just very specific when you look at the gear and kind of like know what it's
cut right to that chase. Right?
Yeah. Another big thing that's coming with next generation armor to the game is set bonuses. And so this is something, I know, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like they're back.
So ready.
Yeah, we've done like some small versions of it in the past, have been like individual releases, but we're looking at this as like a holistic new system that's coming with pretty much every piece of new legendary armor set that we create, starting with Frontiers.
Okay.
And so these set bonuses are going to come in the form of wearing 2 or 4 pieces of a 5-piece set. So that gives you flexibility in order to wear an exotic at any point. And then also allows you to mix and match different sets. So you can actually start looking at like gear and go like, oh, I have tier 1, tier 2 of one set, tier 3 of other, and I actually want to like mix match them together for different combinatorics, for different build crafting identities. I'm getting like really deep into the weeds here, but the thing that's like really exciting about this is that like one of the perks the team is playing around with that these new set bonuses could give you could be one that's built all around like Tex Mechanica style play, which is like all about hip firing, right? And all about that yeehaw. And then like the more you build into that, you're going to be buffing your Tex Mechanica weapons. And so that's just like one example. But yeah, it's the whole space is just going to like really expand and just become a lot easier to manage in your head and also build complexity into. And so I'm super stoked for it.
No, you guys obviously have been doing a lot of great stuff. So we've touched on armor here briefly. All that sounds awesome, but can you tell us a little bit more about weapons and kind of, how they're going to evolve as well?
So we're a little earlier on weapons right now. We don't talk about next gen armor because we have a lot of juicy, good plans coming together right now. But for weapons, the thing I can say is that like in the game today, we have higher tiers of weapons to chase, like adepts and raid weapons, right? And so those things with them come with exclusive perks that basically, cut above the noise of other weapons you might be earning in any individual release. And so we know from the tiering perspective of weapons themselves that like, hey, we already have this kind of touchstone for us that we see that works pretty well. And it's like, so it's really like, how can we meet or clear that bar, right? Like how can we create those exclusive chases at the top of that aspirational mountain for players to climb? So actually, additionally too, we've heard some concerns that, obviously we're going to maybe be over-indexing on just bringing back reprised weapons. And Guardians will just be out there chasing down something and re-earning something that's just sitting in the vault anyway. Can you tell us a little bit more about like kind of the weapon chase and what you guys are planning on doing with each, subsequent release? Yeah, so just to like make sure to clear the air here a little bit, right? Like every expansion, every season, every raid, every dungeon, there's going to be new weapons, right? We're not slowing down there in terms of like making a lot of compelling new weapon content. Cool. Okay. But the thing about reprisals and revisions that I think is true for a lot of Destiny players is like you have that favorite gun, right? You have that gun that you loved at one point in time, and over time it's just not as useful in the contemporary tuning, activity, sandbox, whatever, right? Like just something about it isn't as good over the years. And so like we did with the Brave Arsenal and Into the Light, like that's our touchstone for like, hey, how can we go in and update, fan favorite weapons, bring them back, breathe some new life into them, and make them interesting to use again. And I also think what's great about that is that people who never got to use their Recluse or Better Devils or something that we haven't reprised just yet, right? Is like, oh, that's their first time experience with it, and they've heard how cool it is. To all the Guardians who are going to dive into Revenant and get to try Chroma Rush for the first time. Oh yeah. I am being tried for the first time. It's so good. I'm glad it's coming back.
Are they bringing back Chroma Rush? Did I just hear that correctly?
That's their first time experience with it, and they've heard how cool it is. To all the Guardians who are going to dive into Revenant and get to try Chroma Rush for the first time. Oh yeah. I am being trying that gun for the first time. It's so good. I'm glad it's coming back. It's great. Okay, that all sounds awesome. So everything that Robbie just spoke to.
So so the season of the Splicer weapons have a chance of coming back. It's possible. That's what they're alluding to. That's what he's alluding to.
There's going to be a next-gen armor article going up on Bungie.net after the stream wraps up. But Robbie, is there anything else you want to say? Yeah, so something that I should probably touch on is like we're talking a lot about like all this cool gear and like, but like there's a question here, right? That immediately becomes posed of like why does it matter, right? Like why do I care about it? And so we've talked a little bit, right, about the fact that there's going to be customizable difficulty coming in Destiny with Frontiers, and then also changes to modifiers and things like that with like the Banes that we announced in the recent blog post. And so to making expansions deeply replayable, kind of like I was talking about earlier in our section, and then the customizable difficulty, and then the new modifier systems. Like these are all things that are being built
into a structure so that you're going to need to chase that high tier gear. You're going to need to craft that complex set bonus, perfect combination of Tex Mechanica gear in order to take on some of the hardest challenges inside of the game. And so this isn't just about changing gear. This is also figuring out how we can bring new and interesting challenge to Destiny and how we can really like breathe life into the challenge of the game.
Very exciting. Awesome.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, plenty more information on that to arrive on the blog that's going to be arriving on Bungie.net shortly after this. But I don't think I'm going to be able to top what Robbie just said. So we'll go ahead and get ready to go ahead and close out the stream here today by first thanking all of you fine folks at home for joining us today. We love getting a chance to put these streams on and hang out with all of you in the community, and it doesn't mean anything unless you show up. So thank you for taking the time to join us today. As a reminder as well, there's a Twitch drop going on right now. That's a heads up. You can probably see it pinned in chat, but just to remind everyone at home that if you've earned the Twitch drop, I should say, rather, it will be arriving on your Guardian when Revenant launches on October 8th. So
Damn.
not, that's by design. It'll be arriving on October 8th, and you'll get to put your shiny new emblem
Oh
on.
my
and
God.
of course, a huge thanks to our guest here, Robbie Nelson. Thank you so much for joining us today. Absolutely. And then the folks
I'm so glad I
as
didn't
well,
watch the
Chris
stream.
Clayton and Jerome as well. Improbable. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the amazing folks doing the actual heavy lifting behind the scenes. Peyton, Ashley, and Justin, thank you so much. Of course, Ashley, one of the folks that helped design a lot of the stuff we looked at today. So thank you all for taking the time to joining us from the throne world, as we call it here, back here in the studio. But yeah, a quick recap. We talked today a little bit about what's to arrive with Act 1.
They
Revenant
got
arriving
baited.
just next week, next reset. It'll be
So-
arriving on October 8th.
So this is what the kind of contradicts what they said earlier about all the story coming out for Revenant Day 1. Does that actually mean it's all going to be released at once, or is it going to be released in acts? Because they're saying like, I know probably the exotic mission and stuff is probably not gonna be until later down the road, but. And probably they're gonna hold back some of the weapons and stuff, but that kind of makes me curious to see if they're actually if they were lying about the story or not.
Make sure to go ahead and sign up for the Twitch Rivals Dungeon Race. It'll be shipping out on October 11th. And remember, if you're one of those top 3 teams to go ahead and make your way through, then you'll be able to get the cool embroidered hoodie as well. But there's going to be more information about that arriving on our socials. And then I think that's about it. I think I've concluded my notes here on my laptop. So again, thank you all for taking the time to join us. Make sure and follow us at Destiny the Game across the board on whatever social channel you like. Make sure and check out our Discord as well. We're making some updates out there in terms of the announcement channels, and keep an eye out for the TWID for all this great information. And lastly, but very not least, make sure and head out to Bungie.net after this stream concludes. Read that Next Gen Armor article. We're giving you guys lots of information. Is it fair? No, but we like you, so we're going to keep doing it anyway. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you all Starside.
That's all very interesting. I suppose we'll have to wait and see what happens on the 8th, because I think that's when the season starts. I'll probably be streaming it, so it doesn't. Well, I'll be there at reset. I may stream it for like a couple of hours. Who knows? I know I'm gonna do the story and stuff. But I wonder if the entire story is being released all at once, still like they said they would, or is it going to be released in acts, or if there's going to be a little tidbit of each story released in acts because of what they said. I suppose we'll have to wait and see until then. But until the 8th, because I don't think I'm gonna record Luigi's Mansion after I recorded all day yesterday, and now I have to go edit her a couple hours because I did the Titan thing. I did the entire story of Echoes as on Titan, like I usually do, and it's gonna go up probably sometime this week definitely before Revenant launches. So it may go out Monday of next week at the latest. So you can look forward to that. But I don't talk in that video, so this is technically the last video before Revenant. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching me react to this, even though it's a very long video. It's an hour long. I did not expect it to be an hour long. I expected it to be about 30 minutes, so, you know. There's just a lot of stuff that they were talking about that interested me, so I decided to keep rolling. But I suppose that is all. I guess we will really have to wait and see what they have in store for Revenant. Because I feel like that Onslaught Salvation, I feel like that's genuinely the seasonal activity. But they're not telling us it is. But I feel like it is, that's the seasonal activity. Because they wouldn't spend so much time. I know player feedback and all that stuff. And yeah, but I don't think they would spend that much time on developing that without having it a part of a part of the seasonal activity. If they actually designed another seasonal activity, that would be mind blowing to me. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't think they did. I think Salvation is the seasonal activity that we're gonna be dealing with. The seasonal activity that's gonna be in place, kind of. At least for the first act. They may introduce more in Act 2 and 3, but you know, we'll have to wait and see those days, but you know. That is all from me. Because I am ending the stream, so I'm not ending the stream, but ending the video so I can upload this and work on my other video. Well, to be honest, I'm probably not going to work on it today. I'm probably going to work on it in the next day, tomorrow. But, it is very interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see Fick roll back after, like, I know he was last spotted in, like, season of, whatever season they vaulted, whatever season they vaulted the, Tangled Shore, that's the last time, well, you really could interact with Fickrel in a sense. And it's also going to be interesting to see the Inverted Spire rework. That's going to be interesting. And, well, Frontiers. I don't know if I'm going to be around for Frontiers, because it depends on the price, but, you know, I may, depending on how good it looks in the future, because right now it kind of looks interesting. It doesn't look good, I'm not going to say it looks bad, but it doesn't look promising either. It kind of looks like something new that they're trying that they may not know. They don't know what they're doing fully. So, I suppose we will see when Revenant launches and we hear more about, you know, stuff, when we hear more about it all. But until thine time arrives for Revenant to launch, I will see you guys then. I will see you guys on the 8th, because I'll be streaming. Even if it's not for very long, I will be streaming a little bit. Even though usually it interrupts my flow, but I will stream a little bit. I can't promise how long I'll go for. I may go for an hour. I could go for 6 hours. Who knows? I'm not promising a long stream though. But until thine 8th, I will see you all then. Until then, keep gaming, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.